What if I told you the first 60 seconds of intimacy can shape how deeply he desires you for the next 60 years? The beginning isn't just a warm-up, it's the blueprint for every moment that follows. If you waste it, you lose him. But if you master it, you own the entire experience. Too many women underestimate their power in the first minute of sex. But in that tiny window, something primal awakens. It's not about performance, it's about presence. When you show up with intention, control, and depth, you don't just attract a man, you transform him. These 5 ways are your ignition switch. Use them and you'll never be forgotten. The first minute of sex isn't about physical motion, it's about emotional ignition. It's where your energy enters the room before your hands ever do. Most women think it begins when the clothes come off, but truthfully, it begins when your energy shifts, when you decide, I'm not here to be taken, I'm here to meet him in the fire. That decision, that intention, carries through your body like a current. It's not about what you do with your hands first or what you say, it's about what you radiate. A woman who walks into that moment with presence, with awareness of her own power, already changes the atmosphere. She doesn't rush, she doesn't perform, she arrives fully and without apology. Her breath deepens, her eyes hold him, not out of duty, but out of awareness. She's not waiting to be lit, she is the flame. And when you lead with energy instead of action, what you're doing is offering something much rarer than pleasure: certainty. Men are starved for it. In a world where everyone is performing, pretending, hesitating, your certainty becomes a sanctuary. Your energy says, I know who I am, I know what I want, and I'm not afraid of it. That message cuts through every layer of insecurity in a man's mind. You don't have to speak it out loud, you just have to embody it. The way you breathe, not shallow, but full and grounded. The way you move, not frantic, but deliberate. The way you make space, not only for him, but for yourself. All of that becomes part of the language you're speaking in those first few seconds. And here's the thing, he feels it, even if he can't name it. Even if he doesn't understand why suddenly, he feels safe, seen, and challenged all at once. That energy doesn't have to be aggressive. In fact, it shouldn't be. It's not dominance. It's embodiment. It's owning your space. It's refusing to shrink or disappear in the name of being soft or sexy. There is nothing more seductive than a woman who has stopped seeking permission. When you lead with energy, you're not saying, look at me. You're saying, I'm here. I see you, and I want you to meet me. Not with games, not with ego, but with depth. That call, whether silent or spoken, demands something higher. And a real man will feel that. He'll rise to meet it, because you've shown right from the start that this is no ordinary moment. Most women were conditioned to be passive in sex, to wait for him to start, to follow his lead, to take clues from his pace. But what if you flipped that? What if instead of following, you entered the space with a sense of authorship, with the quiet, fierce knowing that this experience isn't just happening to you, you're co-creating it. That's what leading with energy means. It's spiritual, it's psychological, it's primal. And once a man experiences that level of presence, he doesn't forget it because it's rare. Most people are half present, hiding behind rehearsed movements and performance. But when a woman shows up, truly shows up, she rewrites everything he thought sex was supposed to be. And that presence gives you power, not power over him, but power with him. You awaken the part of him that wants to feel, not just act, that wants to connect, not just climax. It's why that first minute is so important. You're setting the emotional tone. You're saying this isn't about roles, this is about resonance. And when your energy resonates deeply, you break through his distractions. You pull him out of his head and into his heart, into his instincts, into you. And suddenly he's not just in bed with a woman, he's in a moment with a force. And that changes him, not just for the night, but potentially for life. So don't underestimate it. Don't waste the first minute on anxiety or autopilot. Prepare your energy before your body even touches his. Ask yourself, who am I bringing into this moment? Bring the version of you that is most alive, most aware, most unapologetic, because that version isn't just seductive, it's unforgettable. That version builds a connection that doesn't fade. That version doesn't ask, was it good enough? Because she knows the experience was real, not because it was perfect, but because it was present. And in the end, that's what he'll remember. Not what you did, but how you felt, how you made him feel, how you filled the room with something that can't be touched or taught, only lived. That is what happens when you lead with energy, not just touch. Words are not just sounds in the air, they are triggers, spells, keys. And in the first moment of intimacy, one sentence, just one, can unlock a level of connection most people never reach. It doesn't have to be long, it doesn't have to be poetic, but it must be intentional. That first sentence you whisper, moan, or say with steady clarity, it sets the entire tone of what's to come. And more importantly, it tells him something no movement can. I'm not here to perform, I'm here to feel. That's powerful. That's rare, because in a world where everyone is half-guarded, where sex is often rushed or robotic, a woman who chooses her first words with depth is unforgettable. That sentence is your message. It's the imprint you plant in his mind, not just in his body. If you say, I've been waiting for this, you awaken anticipation. If you say, your mind tonight, you awaken his desire to surrender. If you say, I want to feel everything, you call him into presence. And if you say something vulnerable like, don't hold back, you signal that this isn't just about pleasure, it's about trust. It doesn't have to be sexy in the conventional sense, it just has to be real. Because men, especially the ones who crave depth, are not captivated by perfection. They're moved by authenticity. That one sentence is your emotional fingerprint on the experience. Think of it as a tuning fork. The right words create resonance. They pull both of you out of your heads and into the moment. Suddenly, it's not about how you look or whether you're doing it right. It's about the feeling you just created with your voice. Your words give him something to anchor into. And not just physically, but psychologically. Men remember words in sex more than you think. They might forget how long it lasted or how the room looked, but they won't forget the sentence that caught them off guard in the best possible way. The sentence that said, this woman is here with me, not just beside me. And don't mistake boldness for vulgarity. This isn't about shock value, it's about choosing a sentence that reflects the energy you want to build. If you want raw passion, speak it. If you want emotional closeness, name it. If you want wild abandon, say something that gives both of you permission to let go. What you say becomes the story you're writing together, and the tone you set in the beginning, that's the emotional path the rest of the encounter will follow. Now here's the deeper truth. When you choose to speak first, you're also making a declaration, I'm not afraid to lead. That alone is seductive, because it tells him this experience matters to you, that you're not just there for him, you're there for both of you. It takes courage to be the first to speak, especially in a moment so vulnerable. But that's what makes it powerful. You don't need to say much. In fact, the fewer words, the more impact. But speak from your truth. Say something that cracks the surface even slightly. because in that moment, you're not just engaging his body, you're reaching for his soul. And what happens when a man hears that kind of sentence from a woman who means it? His walls lower, his ego quiets, his instincts sharpen. He becomes more than just aroused. He becomes aware, awake, engaged. And from that point forward, everything changes. Because you've done what most women are too afraid to do. You've taken emotional responsibility for the experience, not by controlling it, but by shaping it. Yeah. One sentence can create a ripple that turns into a wave, and in that wave, two people stop pretending and start connecting. So don't rush your words. Don't throw away your first line. Let it come from your body, not your mind. Let it be messy, sacred, bold, or soft, but let it be true. Because when a man hears that sentence, the one you didn't rehearse, the one that rose up from your soul, he knows this moment is different. He knows you are different. And that knowledge doesn't fade when the moment ends. It lingers, it echoes, and it calls him back again and again. Locking in eye contact during the first moments of sex might be one of the most intimate, disarming, and powerful things a woman can do, and also one of the most difficult. Why? Because it strips away the noise. It leaves no room for pretending. When you hold his gaze, you are no longer just a body in the dark. You become a force, a mirror, a presence that demands depth. Most people avoid eye contact in moments like this, not because it's unimportant, but because it's too important. It makes everything real, and when things get real, fear tries to take over. Fear of being seen, fear of being judged, fear of being rejected for showing up with no armor. But if you can move past that fear and hold your gaze, you become unforgettable. Eye contact is the silent language of courage. And in the first minute of sex, it says more than words ever could. It tells him, I see you. Not just his body, not just his performance, but him, his essence, his vulnerability, his truth. And it says something even deeper. You can see me too. And I'm not afraid of that. That kind of openness is rare. Most people want connection, but they hide the very parts that could create it. They go through the motions, but their eyes drift. They look away when it gets intense. They shut the windows to their soul and then wonder why the intimacy feels shallow. But when you lock eyes, you open those windows. You say with your gaze, I'm not here to hide and I'm not here to play small. I'm here to experience this fully with every part of me awake. And a man feels that, not on the surface, but in his core. Because while touch excites him, it's your gaze that anchors him. It brings him out of his head, out of the script, and into the truth of the moment. He stops thinking about what to do next. He stops performing. Because your eyes tell him, this is not about perfection, it's about presence. And yes, it might feel uncomfortable at first. Vulnerability always does. You might feel exposed, like you've stepped into a spotlight with nowhere to hide. But that's the point. Because in that space, real connection is born. And real desire doesn't live in the performance. It lives in the rawness. In the fact that two human beings are brave enough to see each other fully while doing something so primal and sacred. It takes incredible feminine strength to hold that space, not forcefully, but gracefully. Your eye contact doesn't need to be intense or burning. It can be soft, curious, playful. What matters is that it's honest, that you're not looking through him, but into him. This act of eye contact can shift the entire trajectory of the experience. Suddenly, it's not just about what feels good, it's about what feels real. You've opened a portal between you, and now everything is heightened. Every touch becomes more meaningful. Every breath carries more weight. Every second feels alive. Because your gaze has built a bridge between two souls, not just two bodies. And don't underestimate the ripple effect of that. When a man is truly seen, especially in a sexual moment, he doesn't forget it. He may not be able to describe what happened, but he will feel it. He will remember that something shifted, that for a moment time stopped and he was there, really there, with a woman who wasn't afraid to let him in. That kind of presence imprints on a man's psyche. It makes him crave not just your body, but your awareness, your depth, your willingness to feel rather than just perform. So if you ever feel tempted to look away, to shield yourself from being seen, ask yourself why, and then choose to stay. Not because it's easy, but because it's powerful. Because eye contact is the kind of intimacy that can't be faked. It either exists or it doesn't. And when it does, it electrifies everything. That first minute of eye contact doesn't need to last forever, just long enough to say, I'm here, I see you, let's not waste this. When you lock eyes with him, truly, fearlessly, you're not just showing confidence, you're giving both of you the gift of being present. And in that presence, something unforgettable begins, something that neither of you will want to look away from ever again. Touch is not just contact, it is communication, it is intention made physical, and in the first minute of sex, the way you touch a man, how you reach for him, where you place your hands, how you move, says more than any word ever could. This isn't about technique, this isn't about what you think he wants, this is about touching with purpose, not hesitation. Because hesitation kills desire, it breaks presence. It tells the body and the mind, something's not safe here. But when you touch with certainty, with grounded, embodied clarity, you do more than arouse him. You command his attention. You show him, without saying a word, that you are not a guest in your own experience. You are a leader in it. Too many women have been conditioned to be tentative with their touch, to wait for cues, to mirror what the man is doing, to follow. But a woman who touches first and touches with meaning flips the script. She's not aggressive, she's aware. She's not overbearing, she's present. She knows that every inch of her hand, her fingers, her palms, is a channel of energy. She's not seeking permission, she's creating connection. Her touch doesn't ask, is this okay? Her touch says, I'm here, I want this. And I want you to feel that. That kind of touch changes everything because it cuts through performance and opens the door to reality. Purposeful touch is not rushed. It's not mechanical. It's not just about stroking or grabbing or pleasing. It's about transmitting a message, an emotion, an energy. When you place your hand on his chest with intention, you're saying, I want to feel your heart. When you run your fingers through his hair slowly, you're saying, I'm not going anywhere. When you let your touch linger, not flinch, not retreat, you're giving him permission to drop his guard. You're telling him, you don't have to be a machine here. You get to feel too. And you don't need to know exactly what to do. That's the beauty of presence. Purposeful touch isn't about choreography. It's about listening, feeling, tuning into your own desire and following it like a compass. When your touch is fueled by what you want to feel, not what you think he wants to feel, something magical happens. The moment it becomes mutual, shared. It stops being about performing and starts being about exploring. That's when two people move from interaction to intimacy. But let's be honest, touching with purpose requires courage because it means showing up fully. It means dropping the protective layers that say, I need to look sexy, or I need to do this right. It means replacing self-consciousness with self-connection. And that's hard, especially if you've been taught that your job is to receive rather than initiate. But here's the truth. When you initiate with presence, with confidence, with truth in your hands, you don't lose your femininity. You amplify it. Because true feminine energy isn't passive. It's powerful. It doesn't wait to be asked. It invites. It welcomes. It seduces, not with strategy, but with sincerity. And when a man feels that kind of touch, he knows. He may not say it out loud, but his whole body responds. He softens. He focuses. He listens. Because you've awakened something beyond lust. You've activated trust. Trust that he doesn't have to lead the whole time. That he's allowed to be held. That he's allowed to receive, not just give. And most men have never truly felt that. They've felt desire, yes, but not reverent. Not that sacred attention that says, I'm not just using you for what I want. I'm here with you for this moment fully. Your touch is the bridge between the physical and the emotional. It's where your energy becomes real to him. So don't rush it. Don't treat it like a step. Treat it like a language, like a ritual. Start slow, even still. Let your hand rest somewhere meaningful. Feel his warmth. Let your body speak to his without saying a word. That moment, that pause, that's where the unforgettable begins. And if you ever feel unsure, pause, breathe, and then ask yourself, what do I want him to feel right now? Whatever the answer is, confidence, tenderness, desire, safety, let that guide your hands. Let your intention lead your motion. Because when you touch with purpose, he feels more than your skin. He feels your soul. And that is something no one else can replicate. That is what turns touch into memory. That is what makes the first minute not just physical, but transcendent. There's a profound difference between being desired and being chosen. And men feel that difference deep in their core, whether they admit it or not. Desire can be surface level. It can be impulsive, primal, even fleeting. But to feel chosen, intentionally, fully, soul deep, that touches a man in a place far beyond lust. It speaks to his significance, to his masculinity, to his sense of worth. In the first minute of sex, most women are focused on showing they want him, that they're attracted to him, that they're turned on. But the real transformation happens when a woman signals, not just that she wants a man, but that she wants this man. Out of everyone in the world, him. That message, subtle but unmistakable, creates a psychological and emotional impact that lingers far longer than any physical act. You make a man feel desired by touching him, by looking at him a certain way, by showing your arousal. But you make him feel chosen by showing presence, by making it clear that you're not just caught up in the moment, you're grounded in your decision. You didn't end up here by accident. You're not just giving your body because the mood struck. You're giving this moment to him because you chose to. That's where the power lies, in the awareness, in the ownership of your yes. Because when a woman gives herself consciously, without apology or hesitation, it's not just sexy, it's sacred. It tells him, you are enough. You are worthy of this moment. You are the one I want right now. Not because you earned it, not because you performed for it, but because I see something in you no one else does. This is more than flattery. This is about a felt experience. A man might be desired by many. He might have attention, fans, flings, but none of that truly touches his heart. What he's starving for, often silently, is to be recognized, to be seen, to be chosen by a woman who knows her own power and doesn't give it away lightly. When that kind of woman offers herself to him, not out of neediness, not out of obligation, but out of desire, rooted in discernment, because it's not just his ego that gets fed, it's his identity, it's his deeper self, the part that wants to be useful, needed, honored, the part that wants to matter. In the first minute of sex, you communicate that he's chosen not by what you say alone, but by how you treat him, how you touch him, with reverence, not just hunger, with attention, not just need. When you explore his body like it's familiar but still fascinating, when you take your time and don't rush to the main event, when you trace the lines of his body like you're memorizing a story, that tells him something. That tells him he's not just a participant, he's not just filling a role, he's yours in this moment. Not in a possessive way, but in a way that says, you matter here. You are enough here. I don't need more, I need you. Even your eyes can deliver this message. When you look at him and soften, not just with lust, but with recognition, he feels it. When you whisper something personal, something small but meaningful, like his name, or a private memory, or something you've noticed about the way he makes you feel, he feels seen. Desired? Yes. But chosen? Absolutely. And that feeling roots deep inside him. It silences the voices in his head that say he's not good enough, or that he always has to perform, or that he has to keep proving himself to be wanted. You give him rest from that. And in that rest, he opens. Not just physically, but emotionally. And that kind of opening changes how he experiences you. You stop being just a lover. You become a moment in his life he can't shake. It's important to realize that this isn't about stroking a man's ego. It's not about manipulation. It's about connection. It's about valuing yourself so deeply that your choosing carries weight. You don't give yourself to just anyone. So when you do, it means something. And he knows it. That's the kind of woman a man doesn't just crave. He respects her, because she's not looking for validation. She doesn't ask, am I good enough for him? She asks, is he present enough, real enough, open enough to receive what I'm offering? And when the answer is yes, she gives from a place of abundance, not scarcity. This is what makes the first minute unforgettable. Not the mechanics, not the moans, but the meaning. A man may enjoy sex with many people, but the one he remembers, the one he replays in his mind, sometimes years later, is the one where he felt seen, the one where for just a moment he didn't have to prove anything, where a woman met him not with demands but with recognition, where he felt maybe for the first time that being himself was enough, that his body, his presence, his energy were not just desired but deeply, purposefully chosen. So when you enter those first moments with him, carry that knowing inside you. Don't try to impress him. Impress upon him the truth that you are present, that you are conscious, that you chose this, not lightly, not casually, but with depth. Let your body language slow down. Let your breath anchor you. Let your voice carry the softness and strength of a woman who isn't chasing or pleasing but offering. Let your eyes tell him, out of every man in the world, it's you I want here, not for what you can give me, but for who you are. Because that message makes him feel not just aroused, but valued. It roots into his mind and into his chest. It stays with him. And when a man feels chosen, something extraordinary happens. He rises, not out of pressure, but out of honor. He steps into a version of himself that matches the gift you've given. He wants to be the man you see. And in that exchange, something sacred is born. Not just sex, but meaning. Not just heat, but depth. And that is what makes the first minute not just unforgettable, but life-altering. Bringing your full self into the moment is not just the final point, it's the foundation that holds everything else together. It is the difference between sex that's merely enjoyed and sex that is remembered, between touch that fades and touch that transforms. Because in truth, the most unforgettable moments don't come from what you do. They come from who you are while you're doing it. Too often, women enter intimacy with only a piece of themselves present. The body might be there, the voice might be there, the desire might even be there, but part of the soul is still standing at the door, watching, judging, holding back, wondering, am I enough? Do I look okay? Is he enjoying this? Should I be doing more? That kind of fragmented presence becomes invisible tension, and a man can feel it even if he doesn't know how to name it. It creates a disconnect, because when you're not fully in the moment, he can't fully enter the moment with you. Bringing your full self means letting go of the script, letting go of the pressure, letting go of the part of you that's trying to perform or control how you're being perceived. You weren't created to be watched like a scene. You were created to be experienced like a force. When you bring all of you, your softness, your wildness, your curiosity, your need, your sacred hunger, you become the moment. And nothing awakens a man faster or deeper than a woman who is fully, unashamedly alive in her body and soul. A woman who is not afraid of her own intensity, her own longing, her own mystery. And this is not about being loud or dramatic or sexually extreme. It's not about being someone else. It's about being fully you without apology. That includes the parts you've been told to hide. Your craving to be adored, your desire to lead sometimes, your messy vulnerability, your fierce focus, your quiet intuition. All of that belongs. When you bring your full self, your body becomes more than flesh. It becomes an invitation to feel, to slow down, to surrender, to connect. Because you're no longer trying to do it right. You're simply being real. It takes courage to bring your full self. It means facing the fear that says, what if he sees too much? It means confronting the lies that have told you to dim your light, to edit your expression, to be just enough but never too much. But the truth is, your fullness is not too much. It is exactly what turns an encounter into a memory. And when you let go of holding back, when you let yourself feel without judgment, without filter, you allow him to do the same. That's when the energy changes. That's when it stops being a performance and becomes a presence. Your full self includes everything: your laugh, your moan, your breath, your stillness, the way your fingers trace hymns slowly, or the way your eyes close when something feels good, the way you whisper something without even thinking, the way you take a deep breath and stay, even when emotions rise, when you don't try to hide it, when you don't rush past it, when you don't apologize for it. That is what he remembered. Not the angle, not the pace, not the moves. He remembers the moment when you weren't thinking anymore, the moment when you stopped calculating and started feeling, the moment when your full self came through like a wave, and he got to ride that wave, not just with his body, but with his soul. And here's what's truly powerful. When you bring your full self, you liberate him to do the same. Men are often locked in performance mode. They've been conditioned to lead, to please, to last, to dominate. But deep down, many of them are craving permission. Permission to just be, to relax, to feel, to be felt. And when you show up fully present, without a mask, without holding back, he feels safe to drop his mask too. That's when the intimacy deepens. That's when the connection sharpens. That's when the sex becomes a shared experience instead of two people chasing the same end in separate minds. To bring your full self into the moment is to remember that you are the moment, not your perfection, not your performance, not your practiced moves, but you, your body, yes, but also your breath, your truth, your fear, your trust, your energy. You don't need to do anything fancy, you just need to be there in every sense. And in doing so, you create something that cannot be forgotten. Because while many women can be sexy, while many women can be desired, very few are present, very few are alive, very few are willing to show up and say without speaking, "This is all of me, and I'm not hiding anymore." That kind of presence leaves a mark. A man may not understand it right away. He may not even be able to describe what happened, but he will remember that something felt different, that something cracked open inside him, that this wasn't just sex, it was a collision of two truths. And that kind of experience rewrites how he sees connection, how he sees pleasure, how he sees you. So let go of what you've been told to be. Let go of trying to impress. Bring your whole self, your voice, your silence, your grace, your fire, your emotion, your stillness, your laughter. Bring the woman who doesn't shrink. Bring the woman who doesn't fear being too much. Bring the woman who knows that fullness is freedom, because the first minute of sex isn't just about touching him. It's about touching truth. And when you bring your full self into that space, unguarded, unapologetic, you don't just become unforgettable, you become irreplaceable.